Hey friends, and welcome back to the Alex Makes VR podcast. In today's episode, I want to talk about the 4 different business models that VR creators can use to make money, because that's what we need to do during these times, right? We need to find a way to sustain ourselves, and if we can all make a bit of money doing what we love in this industry, it will continue to make the industry grow, and it will also keep us tied to the industry whilst we ride out these particularly rocky times. So we're going to be diving into the 4 business models. And to be fair, these business models are just 4 business models, full stop, regardless of what industry you're in. But I'm going to obviously give you some examples, maybe how you can tailor it to the fact that you're in VR. So with that being said, if you've got a subject you want me to discuss on these podcasts, send me a message, why don't you? Alex Makes VR on Instagram and Twitter. If you do enjoy the episode, please follow and subscribe on your podcast app. That really helps. It'll also let you know when those episodes go live, which is always nice for me to wake up in the morning and see that people have already started listening to the new episodes. I see you morning listeners and I appreciate you. If you would like to sign up to my newsletter, where I send out these insider tips and tricks on creating a career or business that you love in this industry, then sign up to the newsletter at alexmakesvr.com. So let's get into it. The 4 business models that you can apply to your career or your business as a VR creator. So this, roughly speaking, is broken down into service-based, product-based. I'm going to call the third option the artist's way. And the 4th option is personal branding. These are the 4 business models, and there is overlap between the 4 of them. So let's start with number 1. So service-based. This is exactly what it sounds like. This is where you exchange your services as a virtual reality creator for money. So the business model behind this is essentially you are selling your time as a service. So whether that be that you're reaching out to clients to do virtual tours or 360 videos or game engine design, whatever it is, you have a skill and someone pays you for that skill. So service-based, the most classic. It's by far the biggest and the easiest way to make money as a VR creator. Now, of course, you need to pick the kind of clients you want to go after, and you want to pay attention to kind of how much time you're spending and working out what day rate to charge or what project fee to charge to make sure that you are making enough money for the amount of time you're putting in. But service-based, pretty much the easiest way to get started, pretty much the way that the world works. I would say anyway, like the majority of creatives, this is how they make their money, service-based work. The second business model is product-based. So this is where essentially the thought behind it is that you can make money while you sleep, which sounds absolutely delightful, doesn't it? So in this scenario, maybe this is more like you are creating a blanket kind of VR experience that multiple clients could buy. So an example of this might be unconscious bias training. If you could record an amazing 360 series about unconscious bias training that was generic enough that it would appeal to a large group of corporates or a large group of companies, full stop, or maybe it's hazard awareness training, general like office safety, the whole thing of like, if the bin's on fire, don't spray it with hairspray. I don't know, like, you know what I'm talking about. Those generic experiences that will appeal to a more like a big group of people, so that you can create the experience once and then just keep licensing it out, and you can charge a pretty good fee for that. Now, the caveat to that business model, which is by far the best, probably depends on what kind of person you are and what kind of work you want to do. But for me, that seems like the holy grail of of business, because again, you create it once and it might take you ages to get a product that actually works and that people actually want. And there's a huge amount of like market research and investing upfront of your own money and time to actually make the project. And then obviously, once you roll it out, you have to offer things like support, and you have to think about the rollout and how clients will integrate it into their companies. But theoretically, once you've got all that in place, then you essentially can make money while you sleep, because you've got this one product that people will then just keep paying you for. And that's it, right? So the other side could be like, that's obviously if you're a creator and you want to create some kind of experience, but the other side of that is you could also create a piece of hardware, or hardware, yeah, if you're really hardcore, but also like software. So that was a route I think I've talked about on previous podcasts where I've explored before, and we do in-house, we do have our own kind of distribution app that we use that deploys 360 interactive projects to multiple headsets at the same time. So we can sell that, and we have sold that in the past as its own standalone thing. The reason I chose to move away from that, just to give you a bit of behind the scenes, is just purely because running a software company is very different to running a creative business. So I found that the problem with that was it kind of took me off a little bit too far off the creator trail, and amongst other things, like my older brother becoming a new dad and not having as much time to work with me on the project, all that kind of like life stuff. But anyway, so far we've got service-based and we've got product-based. So the next one, the artist's way. This is if you want to just purely make your money from doing your own projects. The truth is, right now, as a VR creator, it's going to be pretty hard for you to just make money from doing just the projects that you would like to do. So the best shot that you have of actually being able to do that is finding pockets of money from funding bids and grants. And in the UK, we have a particularly strong body of organisations that do fund this kind of work, whether it's Arts Council England. As you know, my recent project has been funded by the British Film Institute network. So you've got Creative England, you've got Innovate UK, you've got lots of different pots of money. Innovate UK are a bit more enterprise focused than creative focused, but there's little pots of money, and you're not gonna get rich. You're not going to have like loads of money. You won't have like mass amounts to spend on your personal projects. But that is a really good option if you just want to be paid enough money to get by and make your own projects. And this is particularly good if you are a bit of an all-rounder and you can make your own projects. A couple of other grants to mention are the Kaleidoscope grants. They are phenomenal. Renee Pennell is doing a lot of amazing work at Kaleidoscope to kind of really beef up their grant support, and they've really stepped up during the coronavirus crisis to help and support VR creators. So they have things like, I think they've got grants at the moment for all sorts of different genres, but including like best documentary project, or like female VR creators, black VR creators. There's lots of different kinds of grants available. Again, small pockets of money, but if you're the kind of creator that just kind of, you live humbly and you just want enough money to get by just to make your art, that could absolutely be something to explore. Another one in the UK is Creative XR. They're a little bit more, they're kind of like the opposite of Kaleidoscope. It's like you need like a team that is reputable, and you need to be partnered with like a decent kind of LBE, like a museum or something like that. They're a little bit, to be honest, kind of aloof and out of reach for most creators, just to be my personal opinion on it. That's just like because their angle is going after the more artsy based stuff that gets distributed out, has already like a direct distribution plan to an arts organisation, or a cultural setting. So definitely if you're more of like a beginning creator, or you're like just interested in working on your own stuff, Kaleidoscope grants, 100%. Okay, and then the oh, just to quickly finish the thought on the artist way, the artist kind of route. Of course, then, once you've built your project, the ideal situation would be that the project you've built is kind of a product. So a bit like what we talked about in the product-based stuff. Essentially, if you built a great prototype, then the idea... Can you hear my stomach rumbling? It's because I'm recording this before eating breakfast. That was a terrible idea, but I just felt so inspired. Anyway, excuse me. So yeah, the idea would be that once you finish that project, you've got this product that then you can start essentially licensing out to, whether that be you put it on the Oculus and Steam stores to start making money that way, or you license to LBEs and VR arcades to start making money. Whatever it might be, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? That would be ideal if you had been funded to make this project, and then you could then go on to distribute that project. But as I've talked about in other episodes of this podcast, at the moment, it's very, very goddamn difficult to make a living wage off of your original projects that aren't enterprise focused. So obviously in the product-based stuff, I was talking more about more enterprise based, whereas this is more, obviously it's like your own creative project, and for that you're trying to go direct to consumer. So this in an ideal world, and when VR is a bit more mainstream and we have more headsets out in the wild, out in other people's homes, as soon as we have more of an audience base to go out to, this could be a really good route, going the artist's way, getting funded to make a piece, but then turning that piece into a profitable product. Just like a Disney would fund a movie, and then off the back of that movie, they would then sell that movie as a product, and they would have lots of different things, lots of different revenue streams coming off of that intellectual property, which kind of nicely segues into the last one, which is the personal branding route. So this is absolutely more of the route that I am taking, and this is for a number of reasons. This is essentially where you kind of, obviously I'm still on this journey, and it's a long game, this one. So I don't think, unless you've got enough support to be able to support yourself for a couple of years to do this first, essentially the personal branding route is, instead of building up a product that you sell, as in a piece of software or hardware or an experience or a bit of creative intellectual property, instead what you do is you make yourself the product. The Alex Rule action figure coming soon. Sign up for pre-orders on my link. No, I joke, although wouldn't that be amazing? Maybe that makes me sound like a narcissist, but I would buy an action figure of myself. Oh, imagine like a pop figure. Anyway, okay, I'm going off track. So yeah, the idea being that essentially you put out all of your advice, your best experience, you put out your journey online in the hopes that people will want to kind of be your online friends. Like, they will want to follow you. They will want to follow your journey. They will be interested in what you're doing and what you have to say, and they hope, like, the ideal thing with personal brands that people don't get right. Like, people are like, oh, personal brands is like just like wankers traveling the world and posting photos of ridiculously blue water all the time, doing crazy shit. And it's like, no, the way I think of a personal brand is, I just want you to know about me, Alex Rule, and the way I'm going to do that is by giving you so much value, and that's the point, right? Is like, give, don't take, give everything, and don't expect anything in return. That's the key. That is, and this is a theory that Gary Vee talks about all the time with personal branding. It's that idea of, people think it's like, oh, you give a little bit and then like you ask your audience for stuff. No, like the idea is you give, just keep giving. And then one day you might have an ask. Like, maybe one day I will say to you guys, Hey, bad news that has been in the in the pipeline for about 2 years now, and it's taken a pandemic and several like iterations of the script later, but you followed me on this journey, and now I really, really, really need you to download it and see it so that it was worth all of that time. I will probably make that ask in a year or two. But the key is not having expectations for it. Like if you decided then not to watch it, absolutely fine. Like there's absolutely no pressure. But the idea of the personal brand route being that you build the product in yourself. You are the product because you are the one with the audience, right? And the way that that becomes a business model kind of harks back to the episode I did a few days ago about the online influencer model, which is that in an ideal world, you would then have multiple revenue streams off the back of your profile. So you would have, I don't know, maybe you'd have merch like the Alex Raw action figure coming 2021. Or you might have t-shirts, or you might have online courses or ebooks, or I don't know, all sorts of different things. But you would kind of use that, or maybe brands would want to reach out to you to do work with you or sponsor or that kind of thing, like for the stuff that you're doing. But the key is that you're giving to your audience. I think it's really important to note that, because I think people think, oh, I just want to be a personal brand so I can be a celebrity. And it's like, no. Essentially, the way I think of it is like you just become the world's teacher. Yeah, anyway, so those are the 4 kind of business models, really. And interestingly, they are kind of in order of ease, because I think something like a personal branding route, from all of my friends that have gone down the personal branding route, which is the whole putting out lots of content online, like sharing your journey, building up that kind of, that I guess, brand equity in yourself. That takes years. It doesn't, like, even if you have loads of money to throw at it and all the time in the world, it takes years and years and years of doing it. It's not just an overnight thing. Whereas obviously service-based, you could literally send an email today and tomorrow you could be on a shoot. That's how quick you can get moving on the service-based stuff. Product-based for enterprise, super poignant right now, because brands want this, enterprises, companies want this. The artist's way, again, we're in a time where it's not practical right now for you to be making 100% of your income as a VR creator doing kind of more passion projects. So getting those grants, being scrappy, living humbly in order to one day be able to turn your creative piece into a product. And then the last one, personal brand, building up that brand equity in yourself, your name. And I want to do a whole other episode about company names and why I've chosen to kind of almost step away slightly from Cat's Not Peas as the brand that I talk about. Because although Cat's Not Peas is my company and it's the vehicle in which I do all of my work through, what I've realised is actually one day there might be a time that I don't want to work in VR. Maybe there's a day where I want to take a couple of years off and go talk about, I don't know, elite skateboarding or something. And if I've tied myself to my company, then all of a sudden that becomes a bit more of a difficult pivot to make. Whereas if I'm just me, I'm just unapologetically Alex, there's a higher chance that it's going to be easier for me, the person, to decide to step away and do elite skateboarding because, of course, why wouldn't that be the thing that I would do? Anyway, that's for another episode. I hope this helped. I hope that this was interesting. If you would like to hear maybe like a series about the 4 different business models, as in like every episode I break down exactly like the steps on how to pursue each one, or pros and cons of each one. I don't know, there might be something in that. So if that would be interesting to hear that kind of breakdown, go a bit more in depth on each subject, let me know, because I'd be super into doing that. You can let me know about that on social media. You can follow me at Alex Makes VR. If you wouldn't mind taking just a couple of seconds to follow or subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. That would be amazing. If you're on Apple Podcasts and you feel like giving me a rating or a review, that would again be amazing. If you've gotten any value from the podcast so far, that would be incredible. Please share the podcast. It would mean the world to me if you, I love it when people tag me in their stories, or even just when I see people implementing some of the advice that I've given them and they tag me. I love seeing all of that. That's my oxygen. So please do tag me in those kind of things. And yeah, if you want to subscribe to the newsletter where I send out lots of interesting tidbits, including some of the stuff that I cover in each episode, you can sign up to that at alexmatesvr.com. Right, I'll leave you to get on with your day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.